Imagine this. You wake up on a Monday morning. Your phone is buzzing with notifications. 12 emails, 7 WhatsApp messages, reminders for meetings, maybe even a deadline you already missed. You take a deep breath and think, I'll catch up. I just need to push a little harder. But then, imagine someone quietly whispering in your ear. You only get 4,000 weeks on this planet. That's all. If you live to around 80 years, that's about 4,000 weeks. Doesn't sound like much, right? Suddenly, that long list of to-dos looks very different. This is exactly where Oliver Burkeman begins his book, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. But wait, don't be misled by the title. This is not a productivity hack book. This is not about squeezing more tasks into your day or finding a magic planner that solves everything. No, this book is about something far more uncomfortable and far more liberating. It's about facing the truth that life is absurdly short. And here's the twist. Because life is short, everything changes. What you choose to do, what you ignore, how you spend each day suddenly matters more than you ever imagined. Think about it. If your time is so limited, do you really want to spend it endlessly scrolling, stressing, or chasing every possible option? Or do you want to spend it on what actually counts? Love, meaning, growth, creativity, presence. That's the heart of this book. And that's why, here on the Compressed Library, we bring you powerful book summaries in an audiobook style so you don't just read about ideas, you feel them. The goal isn't just information, it's transformation. The book structure. Oliver Burkeman divides the journey into 2 big parts. Part 1, Choosing to Choose. This is about accepting our limits. We can't do everything. We can't control everything. So we must choose consciously. Part 2, Beyond Control. This is about how to live meaningfully even in a world full of uncertainty, chaos, and things beyond our control. Each part is made of chapters that are both practical and deeply philosophical. But don't worry, I'll keep it simple, relatable, and packed with real-life examples so you can apply these insights right away. So buckle up, because this is not just a book about time management. It's a book about life management. And now, let's dive into part 1, Choosing to Choose, starting with the first chapter, The Limit Embracing Life.
Chapter 1, The Limit Embracing Life. We live in a world that constantly tells us, do more, be more productive, fit more into your day. Everywhere you look, YouTube ads, Instagram reels, self-help books, the message is the same. If you just find the perfect system, you can somehow beat time. But here's the truth that Oliver Burkeman points out. You will never win this race. Why? Because no matter how fast you run, how organized you are, or how many apps you download, you are a limited human being living in a limited lifetime. Let's do a quick reality check. On average, you'll have around 4,000 weeks in your entire life. Out of that, 1/3 is gone in sleep. Another big chunk is spent working, commuting, waiting in lines, scrolling on phones. That leaves far less than you think for the things that really matter. So the first step is not about finding more time. The first step is about embracing your limits. The trap of infinite possibilities. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by choices? Like standing in front of a Netflix screen, endlessly scrolling through movies, and somehow you feel more exhausted than entertained? That's what happens when we believe we can and should try everything. Travel everywhere, master every skill, say yes to every opportunity. But here's the secret Burkeman shares. The more you chase infinite options, the less satisfied you feel. Why? Because every yes is also a no. If you choose one path, you're automatically closing the door on 100 others. And that hurts. unless you accept it. A story to remember. Imagine you're standing in a giant bookstore with millions of books. You're told, you have time to read only 200 books in your entire lifetime. At first it feels like a loss. What? Only 200? But then you realize this is freedom. Because now, instead of stressing about all the books you'll never read, you can carefully pick the 200 that truly matter to you. That's what embracing limits feels like. It's not defeat, it's liberation. The core message of Chapter 1: you cannot do everything. Stop trying. Freedom comes not from unlimited choices, but from committing to the few things that matter. Saying no is not failure. It's the only way to live a life of depth instead of drowning in surface-level busyness. Takeaway for you. Right now, think about your life. What are the 2 to 3 things that matter most? Family, health, creativity, spirituality? And then ask, what are the things stealing your attention that don't matter? Endless social media, pointless arguments, trying to please everyone? The more you say no to the noise, the more space you create for the signal, the real essence of your life. And with this, we finish Chapter 1, The Limit Embracing Life. Next up, we'll explore something even deeper, the efficiency trap, why trying to get everything done only makes things worse, and how you can escape this trap.
Chapter 2: The Efficiency Trap. We live in a culture obsessed with efficiency. Faster internet, faster food delivery, productivity hacks, 10x your output. The idea is simple. If we just become efficient enough, we'll finally get everything done. But Oliver Burkeman warns us, efficiency doesn't free up your time. It creates more work. Think about email. When email was invented, it was supposed to save time compared to handwritten letters. But what happened? Now we spend hours every day checking, replying, and drowning in emails. Efficiency didn't solve the problem. It multiplied it. A real-life scenario. Imagine this. You clean your desk super quickly to save time. But because your desk looks spotless, people keep giving you more files. Or think about your workplace. If you finish your tasks ahead of schedule, do you get to rest? No. Usually, your boss just gives you more tasks. That's the trap. The faster you go, the more the world demands of you. The endless cycle. Burkeman explains it like this. You become efficient to save time. But saved time doesn't stay free. It gets filled with more work, more expectations, more tasks. And so you try to become even more efficient. And the cycle continues until one day you realize you've become a machine, not a human being. Here's the big insight. Efficiency is not the solution to feeling overwhelmed. Because the truth is, you will never get it all done. There will always be unread emails, always unfinished tasks, always dreams you didn't chase. Trying to clear the list is like trying to empty the ocean with a spoon. Story: The to-do list that never ends. One of Burkeman's readers once said, "I thought if I worked hard enough, I'd eventually catch up with my to-do list. But after 20 years, I realized the list only grows longer." And here's the wisdom. The point of life is not to finish the list. It's to decide what deserves to be on the list in the first place. Takeaway from Chapter 2. Efficiency won't save you. It only accelerates the treadmill. Your to-do list will never be empty, and that's okay. The real skill is not doing more, but choosing less. Instead of asking, "How can I get more done?"
Ask yourself, what deserves my time at all? So here's your challenge today. Pick one thing on your endless list that doesn't truly matter and cross it out forever. Because freedom doesn't come from speeding up. It comes from stepping off the treadmill. Next chapter preview. Now that we've seen how efficiency traps us, Burkeman takes us even deeper in Chapter 3, Facing Finitude, where he reminds us of the hardest truth. You are not infinite. You will die. And that fact, instead of depressing us, can actually become the greatest source of power and clarity in how we live.
Chapter 3, Facing Finitude. Let's be honest. Most of us live as if we're going to live forever. We scroll endlessly on social media. We put off dreams, saying, "Someday I'll do it." We pack our calendars with busy work, avoiding the one uncomfortable truth. Life is brutally short. Oliver Burkeman calls this truth finitude. It means you are finite. Your time is limited. So, think of it this way. If you live to 80 years, that's about 4,000 weeks. Not millions, not unlimited, just 4,000. Some of us have already spent half, some more. When you see it in weeks, life suddenly feels fragile. And yet, this is not meant to depress you. It's meant to wake you up. Story: The Someday Illusion. A man once dreamed of writing a novel, but life kept him busy. Meetings, bills, family obligations. He kept saying, "Someday, when I have more time, I'll start." Years passed. Finally, after retirement, he sat down to write. But his health was failing. His energy was gone. And his someday never came. This is what happens when we deny our finitude. We wait for a perfect future that never arrives. Idea in bold: the courage to face limits. Burkeman argues the only way to live meaningfully is to embrace your limits, not fight them. Instead of pretending you'll do everything, admit you won't read every book. You won't meet every person. You won't achieve every dream. And strangely, this honesty brings freedom. Because once you stop trying to do it all, you can finally choose the few things that really matter. Real-life example. Steve Jobs once said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." When you know your time is short, small fears don't control you. You stop worrying about embarrassing yourself. You stop delaying the work that matters. Because suddenly you realize, if not now, when? Takeaway from Chapter 3. You are finite. Your time is limited. Stop waiting for the mythical someday. Accepting death is not depressing, it's liberating. Finitude forces you to ask, if I only get 4,000 weeks, how do I want to spend this one? Next chapter preview. Now that we've faced our limits, Burkeman takes us into a surprising idea in Chapter 4, Becoming a Better Procrastinator. Yes, procrastination. Instead of trying to kill it, he shows us how procrastination can actually guide us towards what matters most.
Chapter 4, Becoming a Better Procrastinator. When we hear the word procrastination, most of us feel guilty. We think, I'm lazy, I waste time, I should stop this bad habit. But Oliver Burkeman turns this idea upside down. He says, you can never completely avoid procrastination. The trick is to procrastinate better. Why? Because you can't do it all. Imagine you're standing in a giant library, millions of books all around you. No matter how fast you read, you'll never finish them all. Life is like that library.
Opportunities, dreams, goals, experiences, endless. And your time? Limited. So by definition, you will always procrastinate something. The real question is, what will you choose to procrastinate? Story: The Successful Scientist. There's a story about a scientist who won a Nobel Prize. When asked how he managed his time, he said, "I'm not more productive than others. I just chose which projects to ignore." He didn't try to do everything. He strategically procrastinated on less important tasks so he could give his best energy to the work that mattered most. Burkeman's lesson: instead of trying to eliminate procrastination, learn to consciously neglect the right things. Answer fewer unimportant emails. Say no to low-value projects. Delay things that don't move your life forward. This way, procrastination becomes a tool, not a trap. Relatable example: social media. Think of how often we waste time scrolling Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. What if you decided, I will procrastinate scrolling. Instead, I'll use that time to work on my art, my fitness, or my relationships. Suddenly, procrastination works for you, not against you. Key takeaway from Chapter 4. You can't do it all. You will always procrastinate something. So choose carefully what you delay and what you give your best time to. Next chapter preview. In the next chapter, Burkeman talks about something unusual: the watermelon problem. It's about why big life decisions can feel so overwhelming and how to stop overthinking them. Chapter 5: The Watermelon Problem. Imagine this. You walk into a grocery store and you see a pile of watermelons. You want the best one. So you pick one up, tap it, put it back. Pick another, doubt yourself, put it back again. Minutes pass and you're still stuck thinking, what if the other one is sweeter? This, my friend, is the watermelon problem. The bigger picture. Life often feels the same. You stand at crossroads. Should I choose this career or that one? Should I marry this person or wait for someone else? Should I move to another city or stay here? And like the watermelon, you keep overthinking, paralyzed by the fear that you might choose the wrong one. Story: The Student's Dilemma. There was a young student, brilliant, but stuck. She had two career options: law or teaching. Every night, she made lists: pros and cons of law, pros and cons of teaching. Months passed. She didn't choose either. Result? She lost both opportunities. This is the danger of the watermelon problem. In waiting for certainty, you end up with nothing. Burkeman's lesson. The truth is, you will never know for sure if your choice is the perfect one, because life doesn't come with guarantees. But here's the twist. It's not about making the perfect choice. It's about making a choice and then making it right by committing to it. Like the watermelon, pick one, cut it open, enjoy it. Even if it's not the sweetest, at least you tasted life. Relatable example. Think of relationships. Some people keep searching endlessly, asking, what if someone better is out there? But in chasing the perfect, they miss the beauty of commitment. Burkeman says, stop chasing perfect certainty. Choose, then give your choice your heart and effort. That's where life's sweetness comes from. Key takeaway from Chapter 5. Overthinking steals your time and joy. There is no perfect watermelon in life. The real power is in choosing and then fully committing. Next chapter preview. In the next chapter, Burkeman talks about a challenge that every one of us faces daily: the intimate interrupter. Why our own minds keep distracting us even in quiet moments. Chapter 6. The Intimate Interrupter. Picture this. You sit down after a long day. The house is quiet. You finally have time for yourself. Maybe you want to read a book, watch a movie, or just enjoy the silence. But then, that voice inside your head starts talking. Did you send that email? What if tomorrow's meeting goes badly? Are you wasting time right now? That, my friend, is the intimate interrupter, your own mind pulling you away from the present moment. The strange paradox. Here's the irony. We think of interruptions as something external. Phones buzzing, coworkers calling, kids shouting. But often the biggest interruption is internal. Your own thoughts won't leave you alone. You try to relax, and your brain barges in like an overactive roommate. Story: the parent at the park. Imagine a young father at the park with his daughter. She's laughing, running around, playing on the swings. He should be soaking in that joy, but instead, his mind keeps whispering, "Don't forget that project deadline. Did you pay the electricity bill? Are you wasting time right now?" That, my friend, is the tragedy of the intimate interrupter. It steals the present from us. Burkeman's lesson: our minds are wired to wander, to plan, to worry. But life is happening right now. The real challenge isn't just managing tasks, it's managing the constant mental noise that keeps us from being here. Relatable example. Think about meditation. Many people say, "I can't meditate. My mind won't stop racing." But the point isn't to silence your thoughts completely. It's to notice them and gently bring yourself back to the moment. It's the same in life. You can't stop your brain from producing thoughts, but you can choose not to get dragged away every time. Key takeaway from Chapter 6. The loudest interrupter isn't your phone, it's your own thoughts. Awareness is the cure. Notice the chatter, then return to now. Life's richness is only available in the present. Next chapter preview. Up next, Burkeman flips our whole perspective of time with a radical idea. We never really have time. Why our sense of having or not having time is an illusion. Chapter 7. We never really have time. Think about how often we say things like, "I don't have time for that right now. When I have more time, I'll finally relax. I need to make time for the things that matter." But here's the hard truth Oliver Burkeman gives us. We don't have time. We are time. The illusion of possession. We live as if time is some possession, like money in a bank account. We feel guilty when we waste it, proud when we invest it, and anxious when it feels like we're running out. But here's the paradox. Time isn't something we can hold, save, or own. It's simply the medium through which our life unfolds. In other words, you don't have 4,000 weeks. You live inside those 4,000 weeks. Story: the retired teacher. Burkeman shares the example of a retired teacher who always said, "When I have time, after retirement, I'll finally paint." Years pass, she retires, and suddenly she realizes time didn't magically appear. Now her days are filled with errands, family obligations, and health concerns. The dream of endless free hours never arrived. This is the trap many of us fall into. We imagine some future moment when real time will show up, but it never does. The only time we ever have is right now. A shift in perspective. Instead of thinking, "How do I get more time?" Burkeman challenges us to ask, how do I want to live in the moments already here? It's like standing by a river. You can't scoop up the water and keep it, but you can step in and feel it flow around you. Life is the same. You can't own time, but you can experience it fully. Relatable example. Think about vacations. So many of us spend half the trip worrying about going back to work or planning the perfect photo for Instagram. We think, I need to make the most of this time. But in chasing that, we actually miss the very joy of being there. Burkeman would say, stop treating life like a project to optimize. Just let the moment be enough. Key takeaway from Chapter 7. Time is not a possession. It's the medium of life itself. The idea of having time is an illusion. The only real time you will ever live is the moment unfolding now. Next chapter preview. In Chapter 8, Burkeman takes this idea further with a profound shift. You are here. The practice of anchoring yourself in the present instead of chasing some imagined future.
Chapter 8. You are here. Close your eyes for a moment and think about this. How much of your day do you actually spend here, in the present? Most of us are either replaying the past, why did I say that in the meeting yesterday? Or fast-forwarding into the future, what if I fail in tomorrow's presentation? The result? We miss the only place life ever happens, this moment. Oliver Burkeman reminds us that the present isn't just a cliche from mindfulness apps. It's the only reality we ever get to live. Why the future never arrives. Think about how often we say, when things settle down, I'll enjoy life. When I finally earn enough, I'll feel secure. When the kids grow up, I'll have time for myself. But Burkeman drops a hard truth. Life never settles down. There will always be another problem, another goal, another next step. And when we keep chasing the future keeps running just one step ahead. It's like running on a treadmill. You sweat, you run, but you never actually arrive. Story: the mindful coffee. Imagine this. You're sitting in a cafe, sipping coffee. But instead of tasting it, your mind is already in your afternoon meeting, or worrying about what someone thinks of your Instagram post. Burkeman would say, you're missing the moment that actually exists. Now imagine instead, you take a sip, feel the warmth, notice the aroma. Nothing dramatic, but suddenly you're alive to the small miracle of being here. That's the essence of you are here. The gift of attention. Attention is the most precious resource you have. Where your attention goes, your life goes. And here's the danger. If your attention is always locked on regrets or future worries, you'll spend your 4,000 weeks in a place that doesn't exist. Burkeman encourages us to practice small, grounded rituals of presence. Walking without headphones, actually listening when someone speaks, eating slowly instead of rushing through meals. Because these aren't just moments, they are your life. Relatable example. Think about parents watching their kids grow up. So often they're busy taking photos to remember later, but in the process, they're not truly present with the child's laughter right now. It's not wrong to plan or remember, but when it becomes your default mode, you're trading the only real life you have, the present, for something imaginary. Key takeaway from Chapter 8. The present is the only place life actually happens. The future never really arrives. It's always just ahead. Attention is your greatest power, so guard it wisely. Next chapter preview. In Chapter 9, Burkeman digs deeper into something modern life has stolen from us. Rediscovering rest, the radical idea that true rest isn't about Netflix binges, but about being at peace with not doing everything.
Chapter 9. Rediscovering Rest. Pause for a second and ask yourself, when was the last time you truly rested? Not scrolling on your phone, not half watching Netflix while checking emails, not lying in bed but secretly worrying about tomorrow's to-do list. I mean real rest. The kind where your body feels lighter, your mind slows down, and for a moment, you actually feel alive. Oliver Burkeman argues that in our modern world, true rest has become a lost art. The problem with downtime. We think we're resting when we're taking a break. But what do our breaks look like? Opening Instagram and getting lost in endless reels, jumping from one YouTube video to another, checking work emails even on a Sunday morning. Burkeman calls this fake rest. It gives the illusion of slowing down, but it keeps our minds just as restless, just as overstimulated. What rest really means. Rest is not simply the absence of work. It's not doing nothing in the usual sense. Real rest happens when you allow yourself to simply be. It's when you go for a walk without headphones. It's when you sit under the sun and notice the warmth on your skin. It's when you read a book slowly without rushing to finish it. Burkeman says, rest is not a luxury, it's essential. Without rest, even your productivity collapses. Story: the Sabbath tradition. Burkeman often points to traditions like the Sabbath in Jewish culture. One full day each week, no work, no business, no rushing. At first glance, it looks unproductive, but actually, it reminds people you are not a machine. You are human. Imagine if we reclaimed even a few hours each week like this, where you put away the phone, stop trying to optimize, and simply live. That's the radical gift of rest. Relatable example. Think about vacations. How often do people return from a holiday saying, I need a vacation from my vacation? Why? Because they stuffed the schedule with sightseeing, photos, shopping, more busyness. Burkeman's point is simple. Rest is not about escaping life. It's about entering life more fully. Key takeaway from Chapter 9. Fake rest keeps you restless, scrolling, streaming, multitasking. True rest is presence, not escape. Rest is not a reward after productivity. It's what makes a meaningful life possible. Next chapter preview. In Chapter 10, Burkeman takes us into the heart of modern frustration, the impatient spiral, why we're always rushing, why nothing feels fast enough, and how this constant impatience quietly robs us of joy.
Chapter 10. The Impatient Spiral. Think about your day-to-day life. You wake up, rush through breakfast, check emails, scroll social media, and suddenly it's noon. Everything feels too slow. The coffee machine takes too long, the traffic moves too slowly, even the elevator feels like it's conspiring against you. This, my friend, is the impatience spiral, a loop where life feels constantly too slow and we're trapped in a sense of urgency that never ends. Why we fall into it? Modern life conditions us to expect instant results. Want an answer? Text or email, get an instant reply. Want to learn? YouTube tutorials in 5 minutes. Want a career boost? Overnight success stories flood social media. Our minds adjust, and suddenly everything that doesn't happen immediately feels like failure. Story: the young entrepreneur. Imagine a young entrepreneur launching her startup. She expects fast growth. She checks analytics every hour, constantly worried. Week 1, minor dip in engagement, panic. Week 2, slow sales, anxiety spikes. She's trapped in a spiral of impatience, never appreciating small progress. Burkeman points out this constant rush erodes satisfaction and steals joy. Burkeman's lesson? The spiral feeds itself. Impatience to frustration, to rushed decisions, to mistakes, to more impatience. The antidote? Accept that some things take time. Growth, skill, relationships, nothing meaningful is instant. Anchor yourself in what is happening now. Focus on actions you can take today instead of obsessing over future results. Celebrate small wins. Even tiny progress matters, and acknowledging it breaks the impatience loop. Relatable example. Think of learning a new language. You can't become fluent overnight, but when you cherish small steps, one new word, one conversation, the journey itself becomes rewarding. Patience is not about waiting. It's about living fully while progress unfolds at its own pace. Key takeaway from Chapter 10? Impatience steals presence and satisfaction. Meaningful results always take time. Anchoring in the present and celebrating small wins is the key to breaking the spiral. Next chapter preview? In Chapter 11, Burkeman explores staying committed over the long haul despite all distractions. Staying on the bus, why persistence matters more than speed, and how focus creates real progress.
Chapter 11. Staying on the bus. Burkeman begins this chapter with a powerful metaphor from the art world. In Helsinki, Finland, there's a bus station with multiple lines. Every bus leaves the same station, and for the first few stops, they all follow the same route. If you get off early and switch buses, you keep ending up on the same roads as everyone else. But if you stay on your bus long enough, eventually it turns onto a completely different path, and suddenly you're going somewhere unique. This is Burkeman's message. In life, most of us jump buses too soon. The temptation to quit. Think about it. You start a new job, but after a year you feel stuck, so you quit. You begin a YouTube channel, but after 6 months of slow growth, you abandon it. You start learning guitar, but when it doesn't sound good immediately, you stop practicing. Each time it feels like you're making a fresh start, but in reality, you're still at the bus station. You never rode long enough to reach the part of the road that is uniquely yours. Story: The Artist Who Stayed. Burkeman shares the example of artists and musicians. At first, their work looks like everyone else's, copies of the greats, generic, ordinary. But the few who stay on their bus, who keep painting, writing, composing, eventually cross that invisible line. Their voice emerges. Their work becomes unmistakably theirs. The lesson? Originality comes from persistence, not from chasing novelty. Practical wisdom. Ignore the early comparisons. In the beginning, your work will resemble others. That's natural. Don't quit just because it doesn't feel special yet. Ride out the boredom. Success isn't glamorous. The middle stretch, where progress is slow and invisible, is where most people quit. Trust the long road. Unique breakthroughs only happen after consistent effort over time. Relatable example. Think about gym training. The first few months feel pointless. Small changes, slow progress. Many people quit here. But those who keep going past the plateau, suddenly their transformation shows, and people call it overnight success. But it wasn't overnight. It was staying on the bus. Key takeaway from Chapter 11. The road to mastery isn't about switching paths all the time. It's about picking one bus, one pursuit, and riding it long enough for your uniqueness to emerge. Patience plus persistence equals originality and success. Next chapter preview. In chapter 12, Burkeman explores modern freedom and its hidden curse. The loneliness of the digital nomad, why having endless choices doesn't always make us happier, and how true belonging gives life meaning.
Chapter 12. The Loneliness of the Digital Nomad. Picture this for a moment. You're sitting in a beautiful cafe in Bali. The sea is just a few steps away, your laptop is open, you're sipping fresh coconut water, and you're free. No boss, no office politics, no 9-to-5 schedule. It feels like the dream, right? But after a few weeks, something feels strange. You've taken 100 Instagram photos, you've answered your clients' emails from 3 different time zones, and you've jumped from one co-working space to another. But yet, deep inside, there's an emptiness. This is the paradox Oliver Burkeman points out in this chapter. Freedom without roots can feel like isolation. The rise of digital nomads. In today's world, millions of people are drawn to the idea of working from anywhere. It promises escape. Escape from boring routines, from fixed addresses, from being tied down. But with that escape comes something we rarely talk about: loneliness. Because when you keep moving, when no place or person feels permanent, you start to lose the sense of belonging. Humans are not built just for freedom. We're built for connection, for community. The deeper problem. Oliver calls this the illusion of total flexibility. We think, if only I could work from anywhere, if only I could decide every part of my life, I'd finally be happy. But total freedom often ends up being another form of prison, a prison of isolation. Think of it this way. You have no boss, but also no colleagues to laugh with. You can live anywhere, but nowhere feels like home. You can control your schedule, but no one is there to share the dinner table when the work is done. A real-life reflection. Maybe you don't live in Bali or Lisbon. Maybe you're not a digital nomad. But this loneliness shows up everywhere in modern life. When you scroll endlessly on social media instead of meeting a friend face-to-face. When you hop from one job to another, never staying long enough to build relationships. When you're surrounded by people, yet feel like no one really knows you. The truth is, we crave both freedom and roots, both independence and belonging. Without one, the other feels empty. The insight. Burkeman isn't saying, don't chase freedom. He's reminding us, freedom without commitment becomes meaningless. Choosing a place, choosing people, choosing to stay, even when it limits your options, actually deepens your life. It gives your days weight and meaning. Key takeaway. In our search to escape limits, we sometimes cut ourselves off from what makes life rich. The answer is not endless flexibility. The answer is grounded freedom, the kind that lets you choose, but also roots you in real human bonds. So ask yourself today, who are the people you want to stay connected with no matter where you go? What commitments will you make even if they reduce your options, but make your life fuller? Because in the end, success isn't working from a beach with Wi-Fi. It's building a life that feels whole. Next up in our journey is one of the most humbling, powerful ideas in the book. Chapter 13, Cosmic Insignificance Therapy. And trust me, this one might just change the way you look at your entire existence. Chapter 13, Cosmic Insignificance Therapy. There's a strange kind of relief in realizing just how tiny we really are in the grand scheme of things. At first, this thought might feel uncomfortable, even depressing. After all, we spend our lives trying to achieve, to matter, to make an impact. But Oliver Burkeman introduces us here to a radical idea: cosmic insignificance therapy. The basic message? Your life is vanishingly small compared to the vastness of the universe. And that's good news.
Imagine standing on a quiet hill at night, looking up at the stars. Each tiny dot of light represents not just a star, but often a whole galaxy filled with billions of stars and possibly billions of planets. Suddenly, your worries about deadlines, emails, or whether you embarrassed yourself at that last meeting seem pretty small. Astronomers remind us our Earth is just a pale blue dot floating in the middle of endless space. And we, as individuals, are tiny dots on that dot. Our entire lifespan, let's say 80 years, is nothing compared to the billions of years the universe has existed and will continue to exist after we're gone. At first, this might sound depressing, like, wait, so nothing I do matters? But Oliver flips the perspective. Think about it this way. If you're not the center of the universe, then you don't need to live under constant pressure to make every moment historic or life-changing. You don't need to carry the unbearable burden of leaving a mark on all of humanity. Instead, you can focus on the small, meaningful actions within your reach. Being present with your kids at dinner, helping your friend when they're struggling, doing your work with care and honesty. These things might not shake the universe, but they shape your world and the lives of people you touch. In fact, when you realize your cosmic smallness, you gain the freedom to live more authentically. You no longer need to chase the impossible dream of being remembered for eternity. You can live for the present, for the people around you, for yourself. Storytime: The Two Painters. Burkeman shares the story of two artists. One dreams of painting something so incredible that their name will live on for centuries. The other simply paints daily, creating beauty for their small community without worrying about eternal fame. Who do you think feels less stressed, more free, more joyful? The second painter. Because here's the truth. Even the most famous names in history, Cleopatra, Shakespeare, Einstein, are just specks in the infinite timeline of the cosmos. And billions of years from now, they too will be forgotten. So why exhaust yourself chasing a spotlight that will inevitably fade? Here's where cosmic insignificance therapy becomes powerful. When you accept your smallness, you stop trying to control everything. You stop obsessing over how many people liked your post. You stop worrying whether your presentation will be remembered in 10 years. You stop comparing your life to big names and big achievements. Instead, you begin to ask, what matters to me today, right now? And in that simple question lies the key to peace. A practical takeaway. Next time you're overwhelmed, stressed about deadlines, anxious about success, pause. Step outside. Look up at the night sky if you can, or even just imagine it. Remind yourself, I am small. My time is short. And that's okay. Then turn back to the small, beautiful human tasks right in front of you. Cook a meal. Write a kind message. Do your work with honesty. Hug someone you love. You may not move galaxies, but you will move hearts. And that's enough. Closing thought. Burkeman's point is beautifully simple. You matter most, not because you are cosmically significant, but because you are humanly significant. And sometimes, the biggest relief in life comes not from proving yourself to the universe, but from accepting your smallness and living fully within it.
Chapter 14, The Human Disease. Oliver Burkeman calls this chapter the human disease. But don't worry, it's not about germs, viruses, or anything medical. It's about something deeper, something that affects almost every one of us. The restless craving to be somewhere else, doing something else, living some other life than the one we're in right now. This disease is called discontent. Earthly, the endless elsewhere. Think about it. You're at work and you wish you were at home. You're at home and you start worrying about work.
You're on vacation, and suddenly you're thinking about what emails are piling up back in the office. Even when you're eating, you might already be planning your next meal. It's as if we are never satisfied with the moment we're in. Instead, we chase after an imaginary future where everything will finally feel perfect. Burkeman argues that this restless dissatisfaction, the inability to simply be here now, is a kind of disease of being human. And left untreated, it eats away at our happiness. Upon the illusion of the perfect future, we often tell ourselves, once I get that promotion, I'll be happy. Once I move to a bigger house, life will feel complete. Once I find the perfect partner, then everything will be fine. But here's the trap. When those things finally happen, we only feel satisfied for a short while. Then, almost immediately, the craving begins again. This cycle is endless. Like drinking salty water when you're thirsty, it never quenches you, it only makes you thirstier. Book reading, a story from the Buddha. This isn't a new observation. Over 2,000 years ago, the Buddha described the same problem. He called it tanha, which means craving or grasping. The story goes like this. A man gets shot by an arrow. Instead of pulling it out, he obsesses over who shot it, why, and what kind of bow was used. Meanwhile, the arrow is still stuck in him, causing pain. That's what we humans do. We obsess over fixing or changing our lives in ways that never touch the real wound, our restless dissatisfaction. Plant the cure. Presence. Burkeman suggests that the cure isn't about fixing your life so it finally looks perfect. The cure is learning to live with life as it is, messy, imperfect, unfinished. Presence means sitting with the discomfort instead of running from it. It means recognizing that your restless thoughts are just that, thoughts, not truths. Instead of always asking, what's next? You learn to ask, what's here? When you eat, you taste the food instead of scrolling your phone. When you walk, you notice the ground under your feet instead of rushing to the next destination. When you're with someone you love, you actually see them instead of mentally preparing your to-do list. Idea: a simple practice. Here's a small exercise Burkeman recommends. Next time you catch yourself rushing, whether it's eating too fast, refreshing your inbox, or jumping to the next task, pause. Take one slow breath. Ask, am I really here, or am I chasing somewhere else? Just this small pause can remind you, life is only ever happening right now. Microphone, closing reflection. The human disease is our endless struggle against the present moment. But the more we resist it, the more life slips through our fingers. The cure is not dramatic. It doesn't require grand achievements or perfect circumstances. It's simply this: learning to rest in the life you already have, instead of constantly chasing the one you imagine.
Afterward, Beyond Hope, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. Imagine this. You've listened to all the chapters so far, and one question is still hanging in the air. Okay, but what now? What's the final takeaway? Oliver Burkeman closes his book with something surprising. Instead of giving us hope in the usual sense, like some perfect future where we'll finally have everything figured out, he tells us to go beyond hope. Sounds strange, right? But here's the point. Most of us cling to hope as if the future will magically fix everything. We say things like, once I get that job, then I'll finally be happy. When life slows down, then I'll have time for myself. If I can just organize better, I'll be at peace. But this kind of hope is a trap. It keeps us living in a future that never really comes. Instead, Oliver says, Let go of hope in the sense of waiting for the perfect future. Accept that this, right here, right now, is your life. Think about it. If you stop waiting, suddenly everything changes. That messy desk, that noisy household, that incomplete to-do list, that's not a problem to escape from, it's life itself. When you stop clinging to someday, you free yourself to live today. A real-life reflection. Have you ever looked back at old photos and thought, wow, life was so simple back then. I wish I enjoyed it more. That's what Burkeman wants us to avoid. He's saying, don't let today become tomorrow's regret. Because if we keep hoping for the future to be perfect, we'll miss the only time that's real, this moment. So, going beyond hope doesn't mean being pessimistic. It means being present. It means choosing joy, depth, and connection now without waiting for a fantasy future. So, final message of the afterword. Life isn't about squeezing 100 things into your day or chasing some dream version of yourself. Life is about accepting your limits, embracing the mess, and living fully in the moments you actually have. Because in the end, 4,000 weeks is all you get. The question is, how will you spend them? That wraps up the afterword. Now we move to the final section, Appendix 10 Tools for Embracing Your Finitude, where Oliver gives us practical strategies to actually apply these ideas in everyday life.
Appendix 10 Tools for Embracing Your Finitude, 4,000 Weeks. Oliver Burkeman ends 4,000 Weeks with something very practical. After all the philosophy, big ideas, and reality checks, he gives us 10 simple, real-life tools. Not hacks to conquer time, but practices to help us live more wisely with the little time we have. Let's go through them one by one, like a guide you can return to anytime life feels overwhelming. Tool 1. Adopt a fixed volume approach to work. Instead of trying to do everything, imagine your time and energy as a box. It only has limited space. You can either fill it with random junk or with things that truly matter. That means setting boundaries, no more endless task lists. Choose fewer projects, but do them deeply. Tool 2. Serialize your projects. Here's the truth. You can't write a book, build a business, learn guitar, and run a marathon all at the same time. Pick one big project. Focus. Finish it. Then move to the next. It feels slower, but paradoxically, it's the only way you'll ever get anything meaningful done. Tool 3. Decide what to fail at. This sounds harsh, but it's liberating. You will fail at some things, so choose them consciously. Maybe your house won't be spotless. Maybe you'll miss some emails. Maybe you won't be the most up-to-date on Netflix shows. That's okay. By deciding what doesn't matter, you create space for what does. Tool 4. Focus on what you've already completed, not just what's left. Most of us only see the unfinished tasks. It's endless. Burkeman suggests flipping the script. Make a done list. At the end of the day, write down what you actually accomplished. It gives you perspective. You're not failing, you're moving forward. Tool 5. Limit your work in progress. Juggling 10 things at once? Your brain isn't designed for that. Set a rule. Maximum of 3 tasks or projects open at the same time. Until one is done, no new additions. This forces depth and avoids the endless spinning of wheels. Tool 6. Resist the allure of middle priorities. We often get trapped by tasks that aren't urgent, but also aren't deeply meaningful, what Burkeman calls middle priorities. They feel productive, but they quietly steal your life. Learn to say no to them so you can say yes to the truly important. Tool 7. Consciously practice doing nothing. Sounds impossible, right? But sitting on a park bench
Watching the clouds or sipping tea without your phone teaches your brain something vital: being, not just doing. It reconnects you with presence, the thing we're always chasing but rarely allow ourselves. Tool 8. Cultivate patience. Everything today screams faster, but life unfolds at its own pace. Try waiting in a line without pulling out your phone. Try cooking slowly instead of ordering in. Patience isn't about wasting time, it's about actually experiencing it. Tool 9. Embrace radical honesty in your relationships. We waste so much time pretending, people-pleasing, or avoiding hard conversations. Burkeman suggests being more open, more real. Yes, it's scary, but it saves you years of playing roles that don't belong to you. Tool 10. Remember, you're already doing it. The biggest trap? Thinking life will begin later. Here's the truth. This is it. The messy, imperfect, unfinished present moment. If you're listening to this summary, you're already living your 4,000 weeks. There's no rehearsal, no second chance. Final note from the appendix. These tools aren't about controlling time. They're about surrendering to it. And in that surrender, finding freedom. Burkeman's message is simple but profound. Stop trying to master every second. Instead, live your weeks with clarity, depth, and honesty. Because 4,000 weeks is all you'll ever get. And with that, we've completed the journey through 4,000 weeks by Oliver Burkeman.
Final conclusion. So, here's the truth. 4,000 Weeks is not a book about doing more. It's about finally realizing you don't need to. Your time is short. Your choices matter. And freedom doesn't come from squeezing every second. It comes from living each week with intention, honesty, and depth. If this audiobook-style summary inspired you, remember, this is just one of the many life-changing ideas we share here on the Compressed Library. Subscribe, stay connected, and keep discovering powerful books in a way that truly fits your life. Because your 4,000 weeks have already begun. The question is, how will you live them?